When it comes to gimbals, I'm always looking forward to seeing how the technology will improve over the coming years. Many of you know that I was late to the gimbal party, and that was because I was a bit worrisome on how they might affect the look of the trails. Feiyu sent me their WG2 Gimbal to try out and review. I'm happy to say that this gimbal does push the capabilities for wearable gimbals. Remember my coin hack on the Rider M to get the balance just right? Well, on this gimbal you actually have a movable piece where you can adjust the exact position of the camera so that it will be perfectly balanced. They did this so there will be no problem using all sorts of cameras from the lightweight Hero 4 to the heavier Hero 5 and 6. It will also fit other action cams as well. This gimbal is even waterproof up to 1.5 feet underwater. I'm not sure that I will ever make use of that though, but it is nice that water won't damage it. Now because of that, they made the battery built in to help with waterproofing, so you can't replace it if it dies. So you're going to need to charge it every time, and that may be a problem for some people going on longer excursions. For my test, the battery seems to last around 5 hours. The front piece that holds the camera into place is also adjustable side to side a little bit to make sure you can fit the camera in however you like, upside down or right side up. With the Hero 5 and 6 having its power button on the side, this now means that I can put the camera in the other way so that I can access the power button. This position also makes the lens more centered with its axis as well. 2 of its axes have infinite rotation. I like this a lot because it means you can have even more mounting positions combined with not 1 but 2 tripod screw holes. You can be really flexible and creative in how many ways you can mount this thing. This gimbal has the same standard modes that you would expect from any other wearable gimbal. The pan following mode, follow mode, and locking mode. And with each of those modes you have the option to rotate it 180 degrees for the selfie mode as well. But this one also has another special mode for time lapses. So when you hit the function button 4 times, it enters this auto rotation mode. So what you do is you set the gimbal to the starting point, you press the function button once, set it to the end point, press it again, and then the gimbal will go right back to its starting position and start doing its auto rotation at the rate that you set in the app. Yes, it does have an app where it's got some good features where you can make some adjustments to follow speeds and different things like that. You can change the follow speeds from 0 to 100. I always set them to the fastest. And I also don't have any dead zone for my settings. That means the gimbal will always be active all the time, which is more realistic. There aren't all that many adjustments in this app, so it would kind of be nice to have even more adjustments, but these are good solid base adjustments. So for this first round, I'm just going to try this normal mounting position, just kind of the same way that I position my other gimbal. So we're just going to try this out and see how it works. With all the different ways that you can mount this gimbal, I wanted to do a bit of experimenting. One thing I've always wanted to do with the gimbal is to use the follow mode, because that's where 2 of the axes are active. And basically I want my gimbal to be as active as possible for the most part. Alright, so now for the first time I'm going to try out the follow mode. So what you have to do is actually put the gimbal upside down and set it to a certain angle. Now I was trying my best to mimic the same angle that I used to use with my GoPro before I used a gimbal. So as I'm kind of standing upright, it's going to look upwards, which makes sense, but as I am in my riding attack position, then it should be looking straight forward, assuming that I line this thing up. So basically the gimbal is then set for your riding position. So when you're standing or sitting on the bike, it's not always going to look so good. The whole gimbal is kind of sticking out from me a ways, so I don't know, it may not be that great of a thing to do normally, but we'll just try it out for now, see how it goes. Okay, now we're going up this hill. After reviewing the follow mode footage, I'm not too sure if I will use it very much. I like that it can move up and down, creating a much more dynamic shot, but it seems like it's not as good at moving left and right for turns. It seems like I also hit the GoPro against the gimbal more often as well. So I think I will use the pan following mode for the most part, like normal. It also comes with a mount for the Hero Session, which is very nice, as well as this little case, and it also comes with this mounting screw, which I do not recommend you use. The reason is because you screw it in basically with the actual piece that attaches to the GoPro mounts, making it hard to actually line it up perfectly when you're trying to tighten it. There are much better ones out there, like these metal or plastic ones. They have a separate screw for tightening, and then you can easily position it however you like. I tried more of this follow mode on another day. This time what I did is I changed the up and down speed to a slower speed, so it's at 50% rather than at 100% like I would normally do. I just thought maybe just by having some up and down movement but not too much might be kind of nice. But still though, I feel like it does still stick out of my chest quite a bit more, like I'm hitting it a bit more, and again I just feel like it's not very good with the left or right hand turns. Something about just the position of the gimbal, it just doesn't really follow quite as good, so the camera kind of hits the gimbal itself as you're trying to turn sharply. Alright, there you go. So for right now, it kind of seems like this follow mode is maybe best used on more straighter trails where you don't have to worry about the left or right hand turns. I'm going to try and use this follow mode only when it's useful, but for the most part I think I'm going to stick with the pan following mode. The sound is also better on this gimbal, thankfully, compared to some other gimbals. On this gimbal, the Hero 6 does not pick up as much of the motor noises, though that could also be because I had the other side of the camera pushed against the side of the gimbal. So overall, it's a pretty solid gimbal, selling for about $200 US. This gimbal is a bit more bulky. You can kind of tell, like compared to some other gimbals, it's got a bigger body, bigger base. What I would really love to see is smaller gimbals. Make them lighter, make them smaller. That would be really cool. But otherwise, I'm really happy with all the different kind of options and features that this gimbal has. And I really hope to see more gimbals implement some of these features, as well as try to get them lighter and smaller in time. So we'll see what happens in the coming years. In terms of its ability to stabilize footage, I think it does a good job, but honestly, I think it could actually be a bit better. Now maybe I am nitpicking, but I do notice some slight little shakes in the footage from the gimbal. I'm not really sure what that is, but my other gimbal doesn't seem to have that issue. Thank you for watching. I want to give a special thanks to my Boostmaster patrons. If you love downhill and freeride or just love riding mountain bikes, then consider subscribing. And if you like to see more content and keep me rolling on two wheels, then check out my Patreon page.